Hello, everyone. My name is Nick Infernus, and welcome back to another Miscellaneous review where we continue on our string of vacation reviews. And next on the chopping block is Bumblebee, a movie that, to my knowledge, was actually met with mixed reviews when it first came out, which, to an extent, I can kind of understand because when compared to the major blockbuster Transformers movies that Michael Bay directed, this one's a lot more low key and kind of grounded in comparison. At the same time, while you can certainly make an argument about how good of an action movie it is, there's no denying that it's a damn good movie, and that mainly comes from the aspect that always have been saying that movies and TV shows should be prioritizing, and that's the characters. You can make the most familiar plot imaginable as long as you make the characters likable or relatable. Anything that you know allows the audience to gravitate towards them, I'm definitely on board. It might not be the best thing ever, but at least you'll be getting the most important aspect right. And not only does this movie get that aspect right, it knocks the characters out of the park and back to Cybertron, which would definitely be beneficial for one, but probably not the other. Now, I'd say this movie's greatest asset is the friendship between Charlie Watson and Bumblebee, and this is a top tier example of a healthy friendship, since not only do they work off each other extremely well, but they benefit from each other quite a lot. For one, the way Charlie treats Bumblebee, she's able to humanize him by showing him both empathy and kindness, while also allowing him to feel safe on Earth, while also protecting him from a world that's not really ready to accept him yet because, you know, alien robot. But I'd say that it's because of her that, you know, Bee's able to make a home for the other Autobots that are taking refuge there because who knows, if the planet would have been considered dangerous, it might not have been that great of an idea. At the same time, with how things play out in the story, it's established kind of in the middle of the movie, I think, that Charlie's still getting over some trauma from the death of her dad, and she still hasn't completely learned how to let go. Because of how the events in the movie play out, Bumblebee is able to help her, learn to let go, if you know what I mean. And it's a really sweet friendship, helped especially by the fact that the way Bumblebee's face is animated, he's given very emotive eyes. So even though his design is a heavy redesign of the Bay design, I said design three times, technically four times in the same sentence, but even though his design is basically just a redesign of the old look that he had in the Bay movies with the mouth plate, it's still a very expressive face, and honestly is kind of cute if I'm being honest. So not only are those characters likable, but you also get some fun side characters in there, like Agent Burns, played by John Cena, who, despite how easily the villains are able to take advantage of the military and their naivety, he's still shown that he's pretty smart and even points out these guys are called Decepticons. Why are we trusting them? I mean, deception and con. That's not a good sign. And you even get Memo, Chus, whose crush on Charlie actually ends up getting him sort of mixed up in all the shenanigans that her and Bumblebee get into. And in general, he's just a very likable character. And since I probably should have talked about the villains first, let's talk about the villains. Shatter and Dropkick, I will say, for a bigger Transformers movie, they probably would not have worked as villains. But for the kind of movie that this is, they actually do a really great job in the antagonist role. First of all, they're able to take advantage of how naive the humanity is when it regards to these alien species, but also they're just the perfect threats for someone like Bumblebee. Two robots who are pretty much his size, but are still very tough. They are very, skilled in battle, but that doesn't mean that they're not able to be outsmarted. And it goes without saying that Angela Bassett does a great job as Shatter, which isn't too surprising considering that she's also Queen Ramonda. I'd say the only thing I don't like this movie is actually Charlie's mom. She is very annoying, very I guess antagonistic, and rarely does she actually listen to her daughter about anything. Which that's not exactly the character you want your audience to root for and all that. I mean, thankfully she's not in the movie for all that long, but the scenes where she's is there are definitely some of the weaker moments in the movie. Overall, though, this movie is just a complete home run. It nails what I consider the most important aspect in filmmaking, and it allows for a very engaging story and viewing experience, even if it's not even if it doesn't have a lot of action. It is pretty light. The action it does have is still really fun to watch, and overall this is a solid 5 out of 5. Get if the lack of action might be a bit of a turnoff for some people, but if you're okay with seeing an ET style Transformers movie where it's really just about the friendship between two characters from different backgrounds, then I would absolutely recommend it. And I just realized I was going to bring this up and completely forgot. There are quite a few similarities here to the Hawkeye show that came out in 2021. Haley Steinfeld teaming up with a character who the audience is familiar with, and they battle each other. While it's certainly not the most action-packed project in that franchise, the action it does get is still really good, but it gets the characters right. Very interesting that they would both end up getting the same score. Anyways, guys, that's going to be my review of Bumblebee. If you enjoyed, you know what to do. I'm not going to bore you with all the generic stuff. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care, and Godspeed.